Test. All right. So is everybody seated? Can we start now? Okay. All right. I think we can start now. Okay. All right. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to everyone. Okay. Thank you for coming to our sharing session this morning with Mr. Puah in conjunction with the Tambi Pride exhibition. All right. So today I will be your moderator. My name is Dr. Muhammad Uzair. Okay, and on my right is Mr. Puah, and on the furthest right is Professor Madya, Associate Professor Madya, Dr. Safrizal. Okay, and he is an expert and a scholar in fine art. Okay, fine art photography. Okay, so before we continue, I just want to ask the audience, especially on those rows, where are you guys from? Because you are new faces. I haven't seen you guys before this. City College. City College Penang. Yes. Okay. So how did you get our knowledge about this event? Your lecturer. Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for coming. Okay. Thank you for coming. Okay. So photography, as we know, okay, it's often seen as a single capture of a moment. Okay. But as today's session will explore, photography is much more. Okay. It is a tool, a profound tool for imagination, for expression, and a language that speaks volume beyond words. It's about constructing meaning, questioning perceptions, and inviting us into a deeper conversation. Okay? So we are incredibly fortunate this morning to have Mr. Puah, a highly respected professional photographer and artist with his vast experience. Mr. Puah has remarkable ability to use the lens to tell compelling stories, to express identities, and reveal the artist in the world. So we are eager to hear about his journey and his artistic philosophy. All right, but before we begin, allow me to introduce his background to the audience so you get to know more about our distinguished guest. Right? So Mr. Puah is born in 1967 in Teluk Perak, and he is a graduate from the management school in USM. So he's an alumni of USM. And from what I understand, he took photography as his elective paper. Okay? And he has a really deep and he has a really strong passion in fine art photography. He loves art, okay? And he has the opportunity to learn photography, especially fine art photography, from one of the most senior lecturers in USM during that time, one of the co-founding fathers of fine art photography in USM. What's his name? Ismail Hashim. Okay? So this is the fruit of Ismail Hashim. Okay? Alright, so Puah's artistic journey is marked by his profound exploration of social, political, cultural, and economic landscapes, using art as a unique lens to examine life's multifaceted issues. His work seamlessly blends aesthetic with activism, encouraging viewers to delve into the foundational conditions shaping our society. Right? So furthermore, Mr. Puah also co-founded Rumah Air Panas in 1997, an alternative art space that became a vital hub for visual artists in the 90s, fostering creativity and exhibition. And beyond his artistic endeavors, he successfully operates a commercial photography studio in Kuala Lumpur, catering to prominent art-related individuals and organizations, and his work has been collected by private collectors all over Malaysia. Okay? So among his notable achievements in 1992 is the minor award at the Young Contemporary exhibition by the National Art Gallery. His solo exhibition includes Family Pride, a tribute to the previous generations in 2022, title of the piece in 2009, and Art as Photography as Art in 2008. He has also participated in significant group exhibitions such as Art Stage Singapore in 2012 and Photography as Art Show at the National Art Gallery in 1996. And currently, Mr. Puah lives and works in Kuala Lumpur. Okay, so okay, all right. So before we begin, maybe we can look at your past exhibitions, okay, and maybe we can explore about your philosophy and your journey of using photo as a medium for artistic creation. So please, without further ado, I'll pass the stage to Mr. Puah.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Yeah, thank you for coming to this sharing session. And my name is Puah. Currently having my solo exhibition titled Family Pride, just behind the gallery here. So after this, those who haven't seen the show, maybe can take a look for the show. All right. So the show actually started about from the April until end of this we will end by end of this month, right? In fact, this show been I was invited by Bro Hasno to the previous director for this museum, and then because previously the show Hero is about family value, all right. So my work Family Pride also touch a lot about family value, where we artists try to invite audience or public to go back to the root of family, about how it resonates with our pure original intuition about become a good human, things like that. All right. So I think the theme is like because can synchronize. That's why I've been invited to carry on the show at USM. All right. So uh, I would like to start my sharing by share some of my previous work in the early stage of my art journey. All right. So maybe I start with this one. I'll make it brief lah, in case we need to further talk about it later in Q&A. Maybe we can further talk about it. Make it very brief. In the 1992, it's the first work. Just like Dr. Fauziah was saying, I was actually in management school, but I love art. So when I started to explore art, by using photography as the primary medium, I always like not satisfied with the medium itself. I try to explore the boundary of the photography. All right. So this first work, for example, the one that I was like, this one is the work that I won this minor award in 1992. Actually, it's a cyanotype. Where actually, this technique is like one of the earliest way of transfer image onto the paper by using sunlight to expose. So again, you can see here, I use the calligraphy. Is a mixed media work. I collage this calligraphy and the strip of some item that collected from this. Actually, when back then, that was in 90 when I went to this opera performing in Penang area. And then back then I realized actually this this skill of performing actually is getting lesser and lesser people appreciating about it. So I have a feeling, I want to document it and then capture the moment people who are actually performing behind. It's all behind the stage scene. Right? I went up to the backstage to take their pictures. This is like after that I do the cyanotype print and I transfer it on the paper, watercolor paper, and later I do the collage. Right? So, so this is the one of example, explore photography and try to go the break the boundary of photography. So the next year I also joined the young contemporaries. Another one. This one is like I use this that time actually I was like doing some sales job, but I still want to do my hard work. All right. So when you start working, you can feel that society a lot pressure on you. So using the convenience of me doing sales for this graphic film. Back then we used like we call it graphic film for chroma and those things, supplier and those things. So I have the opportunity to to access to this big film transparency. So I create like a big light box. It's like about almost a life size type of dimension hour. So I enlarge the image. Basically, it's all about a young man into the society. What the the pressures is having, he has to pay installment every month. So he has to bow to the society. He has to like, sometimes you are really like restless, and then you are really, trapped into the whole situation. So it's more onto the own self, almost like self-portrait back then. So again, you can see I use photography to explore the another dimension, try to go to 3D. Okay. And then the next year also I still it's the same work. The next year also doing the same photography installation, but this time I doing the work that this work like 4x8, the size. So again this time I try to combine like a photo. I would say now they call it street photography or documentary. Remember, there's one photographer named VG back then. He's very famous because he's always follow his police friend go to the crime scene, and then he managed to shoot a lot of very brutal and violent pictures of the crime scene. So this is like I try to create the crime scene of myself. So meaning that when you get into the society, when you start working, the pressure make you like you cannot breathe. Things like that. Back then, that's my feeling back then. So I create tour, a real station. I try to create where using photography, yeah, actually like a graveyard kind of setting.
This is a self-portrait, right?
Yeah.
So it's yourself as a model in the
yeah. I do put up on the tripod, and then I do the capture. Right. And then I setting up like a ring file again. Is about your humor become like a document. Everything just in, right. So again, so it's the same. Again, like a film straight. Also, yeah, you get a good point. Like, I actually back then we still using film to take pictures. So this guy also the print file really can relate to film straight type of setting, right? So it's the same file, you see the bank, base. So okay,
is it the reason you did all this is to reinforce the context of your visual?
what do you mean by
To let the views like to emphasize the visual message that this you wanted to recreate a crime scene.
Oh yeah, definitely. Even I try to make it like a really because back then for documentary this kind of like you go to crime basically they use a one front flash type of thing, so the image become very flat. So public create this kind of very flat and boring and dull type of setting. Looks like why it so looks so overexposed things like that. So yeah, so these some other work when I created some group shows, some collages, all those things. Again, trying to break the boundaries. That's my whole whole intention, And then always started with what's the objective of doing the work, and then try to achieve, and then a lot of time I go back to my photography because that's the medium I most familiar with, right? It's like again I make big fun of like a box where this one is in Palai also. It's matching to us to create the show, art as photography as art. So he said you can do anything, and then I purposely just take a pictures of this like a last time the cinema poster. So I saw one, I thought it's interesting, like you can survey it, and then people had to pay for the money, then just want to view one picture, things like that. Just play fun, like fun fair type of setting. So I again try to question, is it photography just for beauty or for static, maybe do something special, trigger your thinking, provoke your thinking. Again, I collect some, the dustbin. I put up the test print, everything put into one frame in the one book show in back then the Center Market is one photography studio who very active in organizing a photography show. I cannot remember the name now. Annex, next to Annex Galeri last time. Annex at the back there. Yeah. So that was in the 90s. So okay, then this one I briefly also talk about my solo again. This one solo, okay, this is like in, I don't know whether you all seen this picture before or not. This is like in 2008, one big issue came out. It's about our chief judge is Yusof Jin and a prominent lawyer, Wee Kellingham. They went to, the pictures came out where I exposed them. Actually, they went to vacation together in New Zealand. Of course, they deny it because, like, how can a chief judge and this lawyer go together? It's kind of corporate interest. Of course, they denied it. And then, but that day, all the major newspapers came out with this photograph. And then, when I look at it, it's like, for me, this is just an ordinary vacation photograph. Why it becomes so significant? Somehow, because I was operating a Photoshop back then. So I look at the pictures of this, and the one that I have in my store and my shop, they are similar. But why this guy become so famous, this photo? So I start to think about, of course, I want to highlight the issue, but back then, if you do direct, you will get yourself into trouble. So I thought, maybe I do it in a subtle way. So eventually, me and my assistant, I went to all the Photoshop in Klang Valley. Those who agree, I collect the photograph. Those photographs which is not being collected, because some shop, actually most of the shop, they have like customer who send the film to them back then, but they never collect after many years. So it become like something they have to put in a store. They also don't know how to handle. Myself also the same. So when I saw that photograph, I thought it's interesting for me to maybe put up the work, you know. But what I have at that time is not enough. I only got about 3,000 photographs. So I decided to get more. So I went to the Klang Valley to collect about from different places, from different area of, basically still in Klang Valley. So we have the ocean of photograph, about 10 over thousand of photograph. So I flooded the Galeri, the ground floor. This was in this Galeri 12 kat Setapak. I think now no longer exists lah, the Galeri 12. Sushi kan Galeri, Sushi Lawati. So this is all the scene that you can see. I try to contrast this one. This is the ground floor. This one, got two floors. This is the top floor. The top floor, I just put up 9 photographs. Who, I mean, okay, you see the ground floor all flooded. The higher floor, basically, just nice small photograph. Those photographs being presented in. Later, they set up a royal commission inquiry to for this issue they actually this all the proof the upstate the 9 of them actually are the proof when they present in the inquiry the commission. Yeah, yeah. So this is the second thing. So again, what I try to do is highlight the issue, and also at the same time I want the people to read, what the meaning of photograph. Why this photograph is just a same photograph? Why the meaning looks so different in different when you put a different context? And also at the same time, I try to bring out the issue along the time.
So the arrangement is random, right?
This is a very good question. Random. At first, it's random. At first I thought artists have to do it myself. Actually I tried to arrange. I remember this one. Now we talk about this thing. When I tried to see this, my one of testing wall at the background there. When I try to put up the work, we tend to read the meaning of each photograph. So it's become very difficult for me to decide what to put until I get my sister to do it. So for him, it's just a tasting. So without reading the meaning, so he can do it very fast. So eventually, because when I do it, we try to read and then because we're concerned about whether this one is sensitive or not, whether this one is nice or not, aesthetic, emphasis on those things. But he never think about those things. Yeah. In fact, when you do it like very spontaneously, the result is actually even more impactful and more interesting compared to if you put it up. This is my discovery back then. So they ask about this thing, but basically everything is random. In fact, I get people who really, I get people who work in a restaurant after work, the cleaner come and help me to paste the product. So they never read the meaning, they just paste. They just paste. They just pick random what they want. It's really random without reading the meaning. Yeah. So all the meaning. Later move to another alternative art space called Chai House, PJ. So they thought the work is quite interesting to reflect the multicultural of Malaysia. So they want me to have second solo there. So I put out the second one here. Same context, yeah, but the display a bit different. Yeah. So they have the performing inside the space. Okay. So now, shall I go to the major one work about my work here?
Okay, yeah. But before that, maybe a short introduction. Okay, so Mr. Puah's exhibition of the family pride is a continuation from Professor Hasnul's previous exhibitions of Hero. Okay, so Hero and Mr. Puah's family pride exhibition focuses on the central theme of family values and love. Okay, so as you've seen before this in Mr. Puah's presentation just now, his exploration of photography and his artistic approach was more experimental, and he was dealing more with the reality, with the realism of photography. Okay, and he plays a lot with ideas, conceptual thinkings. But for his next exhibition for the Family Pride, he focuses more on the how to say the personal matters lah, personal matters, and his artwork is a reflection of his inner self, okay, which is a very an intimate topic and very close topic to him, okay, and I think we should hear more from the artist himself. I don't want to interfere more, okay, so without further ado, Mr. Puah, if you're ready, we can continue with your family pride exhibition.
Thank you. Something anything to add? Anything? No, sorry. Okay, so I just like to know how many of you have seen the show inside there? Haven't, huh? Yeah, okay. Those who, I mean, yeah, never mind, we can start, no problem also. But those who already seen, maybe even easier to relate what I try to explain. Okay, as you can see, this all this I got 14 work this time, all quite a huge print, almost like real life size of what you see in people's house interior. All right, so this whole thing that actually is not started with want to put up a show today. It's like basically all started in back then in 2015 when my mother was sick back then, and then we siblings because I'm from Skinjan. You know, have a Skinjan, the kampong in a village in Selangor. And then of course now I'm reside in KL most of the time, and we travel. So decided to bring my mom to my house to recuperate, and then to easier to take care of her. So uh, uh, back then I actually started with this one. Actually as photographer by 2015 that time, uh, I think to make her feel more comfort during the treatment process, I thought, at least as a photographer, I have the ability to capture the house interior. So I just want to replicate the feeling, her sense of kebiasaan dia, the place they feel comfortable, right? So I shot four photographs. Basically, one is the hall. As you can see, the left top, actually, that's the bedroom of my parents. The next one on the top is on the right, that one is the kitchen. Alright? And then the left bottom, that one is the hall. Once you enter my house, you can see the hall. Then the altar, everything is been there for the last since I was small, right? Only the trophy will keep on adding year by year, all those things. And then on the bottom right, this one again, another wall facing with a window facing the other side of the hall. So with all the congregation of all my siblings, of course, of myself, inside here. All right. So back then, that the idea is to capture the interior. Is not to do a show, whatever, just to give comfort to my mother back then. So in fact, I'm not, but I didn't blow up to such a big size like this, like just like about poster size, about I would say about the kind of painting size. Yeah. Then I hang the broom of her when she stayed in my place. Okay. And then many times when I came in from work, I saw her staring at the work. And then of course, we are Hokkien, we speak Hokkien, and then he said, I was like, I would jokingly ask her, why are you looking at, what are you looking at. She said, oh, no, I just look at the, the pictures, lah. And then she said, Jin Sui. Jin Sui in Hokkien meaning that very beautiful, very beautiful. So, of course, then I thought just another expression about things that feel comfortable and good about, right? And then until my mom unfortunately passed away in 2020, after like she recovered, then recurrence of those things, then she passed away in 2020. This photo was taken in 2015 when she the period start sakit though. Then we thought to bring her to my place easier to take care. So this picture been taken in 2015. It was like 10 years ago. When she passed away into 2020, and then I have the feel like to do something to the reason being, I think maybe because my mom never go to school. One thing that touched me the most is because her last speech was actually asking us to present her a set of uniform, school uniform, to bury with her in the coffin, put in the coffin for her. So that statement, that became really like struck me a lot. She like she managed to raise us like 7 siblings, all university student, graduate, but her wish like so minimal, just about set uniform, so that her wish want to go to school. So and then made me think a lot. Maybe as we look at this image that I took back then in 2015, that now in the year of 2020, I look at it like when after she passed away, this image is not just about image of my house interior anymore. It's about, actually look at it, it's like it's my mom's whole life, everything. Her sacrifice, her hope, her pride, her endurance. Yeah, of course, her regret also all there, alright? So I thought I want to do some work that really can to recognize what she been sacrificed for. So it's how it started. But I don't know where to start, where to start. And I didn't think about, actually, I don't know what this is going to be the ending or finishing going to be like this. So I start to plan, maybe I should start with mom friend who having quite a similar background like me. So I start to call people, or my primary school friend, my secondary school friend, or university friend, all those. Yeah. So pictures start to set. coming into me lah, because then was like 2020, still COVID, still very rampant and can't really travel a lot. So everything must be communicated, and I get a lot of images sending to me to email, and then people sending pictures like this, photograph of a combo, and then in the corner, things like that. They always like try to trophy inside the houses or all those things. So I realized it becomes something like a pattern. These things that really people try to see it as sacrifices by the previous generation. I thought maybe it could be a good good way of start my project, right? So until one day my friend from Malacca sent me these pictures. So then at one time we allowed to travel. Quickly I go to Malacca. So this is the house in Malacca, the place called Tuanku. Tuanku is a small town. So when I walk in this house, again you can see the right here is the entrance. You can straight away see the cabinet full of trophy. So the setting actually exactly the same like my house. So this house even older than my house. The parents passed away even earlier, so nobody is staying. But the cupboard been keeping those things for so many years, right? So when I talk to my friend, so this is the wall where actually uh, can you see the window there? The window there. Like the window actually we were standing there and talk about the story about previously how his father each time when he come back from Kabul, he will and this is the wall where actually used to hang all the graduation photos also, all the siblings of his elder brothers, because now everybody like already have their own family, so they brought back to their own family. So this got become empty wall. So back then, when this wall been hang with this all old graduation photograph, the father of my friend always tell her, you make sure you close the window, this window, so that the sunlight won't spoil the, the pictures. Yeah, so again, the sentiment is the same. The previous generation, they appreciate this thing is like beyond trophy, beyond the object itself. For them, it's something that they value a lot. All right. So I saw this picture because this is the shots that I made, and then this is the trip that make sure it's make me like I'm quite sure the direction I'm going to follow, right? So when I got this image, then for the moment I get back to my to my KL, this happened again. The next one, uh, I went to a workshop of my mechanic to service my car. Again, that time allow certain sector to open to carry out the daily activities. So he got trophy inside his storeroom. Okay. So this storeroom is the workshop where I think the workshop caught a small fire earlier. So you can see the station like a bit in the chaotic station. So it was like in the middle of doing my project, I saw the trophy. Of course, I'm very sensitive, and then I say, "Oh, how can you keep your trophy here?" This mechanic, my name's Han. Han actually from this Gunung Zerai here, Kedah. So he said, no, he's going to retire soon. So he he actually brought all the trophy to temporarily put in the store at his workshop. Because when he retired, he planned to bring all this trophy back to the house in Gunung Terai. Can I get a point? Again, for him, this is something he got all the children also like graduate and everything. So again, for him, this is something very valuable for him. Because children say, you want to keep like you just throw away like he quietly put everything, bring to the workshop, and then waiting one day when he retired, he want to bring it back to the house, his dream house of retirement, and then he said he want to put up like a cabinet and put it nicely. So, okay, but when yeah,
So I'm just curious, how did you manage to persuade your friend to allow you to take such personal photos of his family?
yeah, very good question. So, uh, again, I try to respect people's privacy, and also I will ask their permission. The first thing I did actually, I tried to explain to him the purpose of me doing this project. So make him understand why I want to do. All right. So his first response was like, don't take here because like the workshop so run down, feel like nothing to proud of, So if you look at on the surface, this is the meaning people will read. So, but of course I respect that at the first place, and then we planned to go to his house in Gunung Zerai to shoot, but he said wait me get the cabinet ready, and then we bring the trophy back there and shoot like accepting that kind of thing. He's willing to do that. I also agree with that. But the only thing is when back then the COVID situation really we can't do that. So I end up persuading him to about my project deadline and purpose, and then he agreed to let me to take the pictures because I told him about whole idea. And then at the same time, I said once the COVID situation allowed, then we'll go to Gunung Serai to shoot. So we have two alternatives, right? So so it ended up I got these pictures done like this. Yeah. So I shot many actually like with 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 uh, I mean the participants, the subject inside some, but end up I decided all just a still photo, just the object itself, yeah, rather than style, yeah. So okay. So the interesting part is when I get to the show here this time, uh, because it's from Pulau Terai and from northern region, and then this like after 5 years already. This one taken 2020, now it's 2025. So when I had the chance to have a show here, uh, the first thing I think of actually is about him. So because he already managed to bring all the trophy of this one back to his house in Pulau Terai. So it's like a full circle, The trophy actually really get back to the place he wanted to be. Yeah, from the mechanic friend Ahan, right? So again, the house setting you can see this his new house and then you can see the gradual photo also he curate in such a way like going towards like prosperity and and semakin maju ke atas things like that. so so this is about story of this mechanic. So okay, you go back to just now about when after Malacca trip and Ahon the pictures, things become much easier when I go back to my hometown again. Because now you're very clear-minded already what you want to do. So and I discovered this is a house in Skinjan also. Actually it's my auntie's house. But I've been there so many times but never ever to see the trophy inside the cupboard. Until when I want to do this project, then I realized that my subject actually is there. Is there. So what it is actually I ride a motorcycle at the evening time so that I can actually see clearer people's house interior. Because at that time it's easier for you to see from outside to inside people's house. So I will identify the houses that could be my subject. And then later I'll approach them to friends, to people who know them, and then explain them my idea, what I want to do, and then of course I got a lot of rejection because this is something like bring out up actually something people some disagree you to shoot, right? I totally respect that, and then that's the part of challenges I have to face, right? Even some when they first agree me to shoot the pictures, the parents might agree, but sometimes the children disagree. So things like that will happen. So yeah. So again, another one is kitchen, and then these two basically you can see also from kitchen. The idea to show these two is because you can see this like a more like a modern house. It's not no longer rumah kampung, but you can see actually when they move from a rumah kampung to a newer house, rumah terrace lah, or even you can see the furniture could be new, but the photograph basically most of them bring from the old house. They will carry with them. Even this one, you can see the main entrance. They will make sure the cabinet with the trophy is all from the old house, from what I understand. Yeah. So again, you can see the weightage of the trophy in those previous generations. People are so high, right? So this is another one. In Sabah Benam, she actually talk about her own mother also. She said, her mother sacrificed a lot to give her education. Okay, so she actually, but she didn't realize actually herself also sacrificed a lot for her own children. So this like for this program, I saw like two generation type of sacrifices. All right. Yeah. So if you go near to this picture inside this bird, then you can see clearer the detail of the bird. Yeah. So again, you can see different religion were the setting, but yet they still put the trophy at the this most important part of the house. So this is another one in Penang when I came to Penang. In Lipstick Garden, Lipstick Garden. So so again, like for this project, actually when the moment I went to the subject, when I talked to them, actually the idea of paying tribute, as I mentioned in my uh, exhibition title, tribute to previous generation. So the moment I walk to the house or talk to them about, say for example, auntie, I talk to her like, auntie, you actually sacrifice a lot for your children. We see that. Actually, for me, when the moment I talk to them about this thing, actually the purpose or the objective of my show to put up already delivering at that point in time. All right. So yeah, so we also managed to give a video call because this auntie, the house they keep, she's still keeping all those trophy and the gradient for the photos and the trophy. Even the son already, been abroad for many years. So we managed to make a video call to the son and then talking about our project. So again, in this project also, I try to make the children realize about the sacrifice made by the parents. Okay, so especially when having a show in university, also a lot of young people. I hope also by passing the message to the younger generation about uh, the trophy or whatever you see. It's not just about trophy. It's about what is the sacrifice that your parents make behind it? Yeah, and then start looking at it again. All right. This one in Gurun. Uh, I can see the chair, the hawker, very Penang style chair, those things. I try to include all those like context. Yeah. In fact, Dr. Uzair was asking about do you arrange the setting or not? Yeah, things like that. This is a good question also because I did arrange, but not to alter the meaning of the whole thing, but just want to give them respect because people's house I don't want it to look messy, like but this is the setting they like it's there already. I didn't change anything. Only thing maybe I moved the chair or maybe the arrangement to left or to right. Yeah, all those things I maybe I do it. But other than that, I didn't touch anything. Alright. Okay. So yeah. So okay. So now I think maybe I end here, just like by looking at the pictures on east of my own house again. So again, what I'm trying to say is look beyond trophy, look beyond what you see, the meaning behind it. Just way more than what we can see here, right? So yeah, right. I think I think.
Alright, okay, thank you so much, Mr. Puah. Please give a round of applause. Okay, okay. Right, so I think Mr. Puah's explanation and exhibition truly highlights the power of photography as a form of visual evidence. Okay, as a form of visual evidence of the reality and of the lives of people that are affected by it. Okay, and as I always mention to my photography students, a photograph is not just a photo, it's not just a mere visual. You are actually freezing reality, you are actually freezing time. Okay? Because whatever that you capture today, it's lost in the future. Okay? For example, when you are growing up, those things, those memories are embedded and are frozen in those little 4 hours or 8 hour pictures. Okay? So very, very powerful forms of images, and I think everyone can relate. Okay, the subject might be simple, the subject matter might be simple, but the idea and the emotions that is embedded within the pictures is what makes this whole exhibition very meaningful and very powerful, in my opinion. Okay, so Prof. Do you have anything to add on your part?
Okay, thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having me. Dr. Uzair said that I'm an expert. Actually, I'm not an expert. I'm just doing a person who like to see photograph and then thinking about photograph. Yeah, I've, I've known Puah for quite a long time. I think we start with a few projects, I think. If I'm not mistaken, the Amrul Omar, I think. Amrul Omar. In fact, earlier than that, we've been working together. I'm a writer um, who writes for catalogs, exhibitions, things, and then was the photographer for the artworks that I've been talking about. I think been working for Farouk, the Farouk Khan. That was a long time ago. I think nearly 20 years. Okay, so that gives me some sort of thinking, and then another one is that since I know that Mr. Puah here is from USM and then been uh, studied photograph under Ismail Hashim, right? Helfen. Fen Helfen. For you who doesn't know that, Helfen is a lecturer. She's still around, I think, around in going back to America, Canada. Canadian. She is replacing Ismail Hashim, the late Ismail Hashim, for photography class. I think at that time Ismail Abdullah is away for his PhD. So Van Helfen, okay, he's another lecturer here. Okay, so when I've been knowing this and then knowing that you are, knowing Ismail Hashim, the late Ismail Hashim, working back with Van Helfen, I've been thinking of a few things, the so-called, if I can say that, the so-called art photography tradition USM, sort of. So actually for you, the younger generation in USM, had this sort of a tradition of photography, different kind of photography. Started from, I think, Robert Kropp, I think, Rustam, Elias Rustam, and then in further by Ismail Abdullah and Ismail Hashim. So we have a sort of a tradition of to make a photograph. I mean, art, commercial is quite relative. So when looking at this kind of photograph by Puah, it reminds me of this tradition. So at the early stage, Puah show his photograph sort, if I can say, installation, and during the young contemporary, it was quite different. It's more experimental, sort of. But this one is quite, the idea is quite similar with the tradition, same tradition, if I can say that. Tradition. Straight takes, straight takes, is it large format? Large format. So large format, straight takes, and then it's quite blurry. It's quite blurry, It's between this is photograph or this is art photograph. When we get this, I've been wondering, does Puah have this intention of making this as art, or this is just a mere documentation? So it's in between. It's in between. So it's quite interesting in that sense for you who know that what is this? Is this just a just straight photograph, or does it have this sort of context, meaning whatsoever? So we can look at this as just a photograph, just interior. By the way, I want to ask: did you aware of Simrin Gil Dalam during this or before that?
Yeah, I know about her work. In fact, yeah, about the Dalam.
He made an exhibition, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in Galeri Petronas. That installation.
Yeah, correct.
For you who doesn't know, Simran Gates is a photographer, a Malaysian born, now in Australia, right? Australia. He done this a series, a kind of like this, called Dalam. They say would be interpreted as what Dalam is deep inside interior. Is captured the interior of a house in Malaysia. But the project is a bit different because Simrin takes 8 weeks to capture interior of a house in Malaysia. So that was back in 2001, I think. So yours is a bit different because it's a bit focused and then really the person.
Yeah, may I?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, my intention is not about interior actually. It's more on because I started this one. I try to get people to understand the meaning behind the trophy. So mine is more on the try to synchronize along resonate subject where actually when you keep repeat the thing, people can get the message clearer. That's my whole idea. So I don't care whether it's interior or not. It's more about whether this subject can help me to bring out my whole idea about people can see the trophy, the graduation photo, the meaning behind it. Yeah, that's my yeah. Sorry.
So it's different from Simringil. Simringil just strict takes person, he doesn't know the person, he just, by chance, doesn't know the religion, the race, So it's related. So I've been talking about Simringville here to make a kind of a comparison of what been done by Puah here. So Simring had this idea of, some of you may know, Benedict Anderson ideas of imaging community. So we've been imagining things like we ourselves now been thinking of the same things, even though we don't know each other, but you're sharing the same things. So that is the idea. I mean, echoing the idea of Benedict Anderson ideas of imaging community. Whereas Puah here, it's a bit different, because he knows. I mean, the owner of this space. So that is quite interesting. And then it makes sort of a blurring boundaries, when for been thinking of the composition, what we call in film studies, mise scène or what is in the frame. So what is in the frame? Mise en shot, I think. Sorry, is it a French word? Mise en shot. So what is in the shot? What is in the frame? So it's as echoing what Dr. Uzair mentioned. It's sort of a stage. It's a mixture of a stage and natural sort of arrangement. This is, again echoing whether we can say this is just a documentation, or you want to project sort of an idea of an artwork. Okay, so my point here is that whether this is just a documentation, or it's been injected with ideas in terms of arrange things, stage, but not in a big percentage, right? Not a big percentage. Okay, so maybe you can explain on that.
Uh, I would say 98% actually is there. I just, even like this one is like exactly, you see, I never touched anything, So what I'm saying, I just think that you really can just want to highlight, meaning that my mind of arranging is not, first thing, I don't want to touch the meaning of the whole thing. That's the priority. Second, the arrangement for me, if I have to do, because I want to respect the owner. Bagi dia rasa proud lah rumah saya dapat kemas, just like you go out, you proper way. You present someone, to outside. You make sure it's like I just try to imagine this is my house, how I want it to be presented to others. So that's all my thinking. So that's my perspective, if you ask me. Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting because it's sort of an enhancement of, to be proud of what you have in your house. Okay, that is quite interesting. But so that makes me always wonder when looking at this photograph. It's in between. I'm not saying it's commercial, but it's quite straight photography, and you want to inject ideas. So it's better. Can create a sort of, if I can mention, issues of photography as art or photography as photography. Photography, and photography as art. So how and what is the way to look at it? So this make me think of, or this is not an issue. I'm taking a photograph, it's a photograph. Don't ask me. Well, for some photographers, they say that I'm just taking a photograph. See, if you want to think it as art or as not art, it's your issue. It's not my issue. Okay, so it's quite that kind of things, because when I've been talking to the late Ismail Hashim, he's always concerned about this. Okay, photograph is not just a photograph. It's more than that. Okay, it's more than photography. It's you can inject ideas. Okay, you can inject ideas. You can share your thoughts, expression, and so on and so forth. But it's quite strict. Strict. You don't adjust, is it? You do any filters or sort of. No. So it means that it's quite strict. You want to be what we call sincere with the camera. But the main issue is the main issue is again, this is not new. Where is watching Hawk? So the main issue I always ask, where is the photographer? Because this is quite mechanical and technical. So where are you in a way? So that not to say that you are missing or whatsoever, because you are engaging in what sense? Where are you?
Actually, I don't care.
That's good.
I don't care actually. Maybe I show you the first time I did this show because I always go back to the objective why I want to do the show. I want to pay tribute, for example. So in fact, if you look at the first show, actually, first time when I gathered 10 photographs, in fact, earlier that show was like, I managed to put out also because thankfully to this Cendana funding back then, after COVID that time. Uh, so actually back then when I having the show in my studio, it's open studio, only 10 photographs back then. I invited all those participants, the senior people, to come for the sharing. We do the sharing as something like celebrate the opening. So they share their story among them. So for me, go back to the idea of paying tribute to them. So like I mentioned earlier, when I talk to them during the project or during the shooting already, actually for me, I delivering the objective already. So when I go back, stick to my objective, when I invite them, actually for me, I further enhance that objective. All right, and then it's very emotional sharing, and then among them they will share about the hardship they had to go through, how they, and then yeah, so go back to the question just now, where I am, right? So for me, I look at it when for example, especially for this project, the process is even more important than the end result. So at the end of the day, for me, the photograph I capture and enlarge and put in the gallery, it almost like a byproduct at the end of the day. So the process even more important. That is like looking outside. If you're looking inside, it's a healing process for myself. Because the idea is like, in fact, Kong Yu is the curator for this show. Liu Kong Yu, very senior and important artist in Malaysia. So, uh, wait, just now I was saying, why am I missing Kong Yu? Wait, sorry. Curator, right. What I'm saying is, when I try to recognize their contribution for the previous generation, when the work become byproduct, uh, so who am I as photographer no longer important. So that's my point. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Right, so thank you, Mr. Puah and Dr. Safrizal. So Dr. Safrizal, he raised I think, a very interesting question. Okay, between apa ni? Uh, between photo documentary, the nature of a photo documentary, and also art, photography as art. So how to harmonize, Prof, Doctor, the distinction between the two? How can we treat doctors that, for example, plus artworks also as a form of art, and art also as a form of documentation? How can we sort of harmonize and blend these two together, in your opinion?
I think by practicing, by creating, um, that is just my opinion. By creating this kind of photograph, for example, by what Puah is doing here, uh, whether it's photography as photography or photography as art, it's sometimes it's a perception. It's a perception. How you look at the things, how you contextualize things. But what also important is the statement or by the artist itself. So where you are heading. But some of the artists, in fact, in this case, sometimes they don't even um, aware or take notes of whether this is a photograph or art photography or whatsoever. And when it's been contextualized by curators, writers, historians, they contextualize whether this fall under that or this fall under this, or this is art or this is not art. But going back to the tradition also, tradition. You look at this now by looking at a large format. It's been done in a sort of a gallery setting. It's been in a large format. So it echoing those tendencies of, oh, this is art, kind of, It's not, people will say, oh, this is art or this is not art. No, because of the environment that contributed to the sort of understanding of, or we are looking at things that we call art rather than just a mere photograph. Okay, so that is my idea on this. Whether you want to make a clear dichotomy, sometimes it's very difficult. Sometimes it's very difficult and challenging, because other people have their own thinking of thoughts nowadays. Okay, that's my take on that.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Safrizal. All right, so I think it's very informative when hearing about the explanation from Mr. Puah himself and also from Dr. Safrizal. Okay, and I think we can say that for the artist, the main objective is his intent or his purpose. And his objective, as Mr. Puah said just now, his objective is in the satisfaction when he delivers the photograph and when he presents it to the family and the people are able to make the emotional connection based on the visual. But as, for example, in the context of fine art photography, it depends on the institution. It depends on the, how to say, the curator, the museum, and the exhibition that puts a tag, I can say maybe a tag, which is a photo, which is an art, and which is the different genres of the photographs. Okay, so I think for now, maybe we can open the floor for questions and answers. Okay, so I think based on the presentation, most of you must have questions. Okay, and the presentation might have intrigued certain curiosities in your mind. Okay, so I will open the floor for the audiences to ask questions directly to the artists and to Professor Maria, Dr. Safrizal. Okay, so if you want to ask questions, just maybe you can just stand up, just mention your name, keep it short and simple, and address to who you want to ask the questions to. Okay, do we have a mic for the audiences to ask questions? Do we have a mic? Okay, if there's no mic, then it's okay. You can just stand up and ask. Okay? So please, I can see some students are very eager to ask. Okay? Please just stand up and ask questions. Don't be shy. As long as it's related to the exhibition. Okay? Any questions?
Okay, hello, my name is Amy. Okay, I have a question for sir. What is your opinion on, okay, I noticed that your painting have a lot of meaning, context behind it. It's a very simple um, picture, but it has a lot of symbols, meanings, and deeper understanding to what it was lah. So my question is, what is your opinion on the new generation right now? Like they saw, okay, for them like this picture is a normal picture, it's a very like standard picture, documentary picture. But then what is your opinion on those new generation that think a photography should be something that aesthetically pleasing, something that is looks very like those angle, like very fancy angle, all that. Right? What is your opinion on that? Is it like the importance more on meaning or more on like aesthetically pleasing kind of photography?
Thank you for the question. Maybe I think I try to understand what you're trying to say is that but I think look at the image like looking try to looking or viewing it beyond surface. I think not just now, even back then also. I think the same situation. Uh, Only thing that now younger generation, I wouldn't say young. I mean the newer generation with the digital world with so many info, because the environment back then even harder to look at. For example, I remember our period of time when they want to take pictures, we use a film. You did one row cost you money to buy 36 exposure. So to capture 36 exposure, you have to plan for it. And then you have to wait for the next 1 or 2 days to see the thing. Now it's like chuck, chuck, chuck. 3 seconds you get plenty of images. So that era now make it even harder to focus and look into the deeper of the image. I think that is the one that distracts us from. But back then we all the same problem also. People still I still remember. I mean, people who still look for pictures like you say, beauty pictures, especially photography. Back then, one of the reason people say why you want to learn photography because it's can get girlfriend easier lah, right? Something like that. So I mean something like that. So I mean people still look for beauty or those things on surface things. I think back then it's the same. Only thing now even getting even more complicated because the digital world or those things. So if you ask me, also artists themselves also have the duty to to put out a work that can really make people have an alternative view about oh okay then yeah then only I realize it can be presented in such a way, and then because we lacking of that, then after a while people will start to not able to see yeah, that's like I don't know whether I answer the question rightly, but this is my take.
That is, to me, is quite challenging question because it's about generation. Uh, New generation is so familiar with image. They've been bombarded by image every day. Been taking photographs whatsoever. Because my generation, poor generation, previous generation is not, get used with this kind of bombardment of image. We rarely see big image like this. Rarely. So the way we think about image is a bit different from the current generation. When you look at image, you are so familiar with image. And you're so familiar with image, and then you got this sense of less concern, less concern about image. What struck you? Getting lesser and lesser. Your previous generation is like everything referred to. Image is very important. You look at image, oh, this is something, rather than up this this scale of the image. I mean, it's something rather than it's just ordinary. Okay, so as you can see, it's getting great attention to the to the older people. Okay, so I think that is the main things about perception, how they think and how they perceive, when looking at image, especially in this case, photography image. Okay, whether it's just ordinary image, it is like a thing when you look at a kind of a billboard. You know, for us back then in the 70s, 80s, looking at this billboard in a big painted wall, this is something. But nowadays it's just ordinary things. Okay, so that the way mentally perception is different, and then the way to understand it is different. Okay, that's my view.
Okay, thank you. Can we have one question from the students from Inti College? One representative to ask a question. Please come, don't be shy. Nobody is going to judge or bite you. Okay. Any takers? Okay, please. All right, thank you.
Hi, hello. My name is Nicholas. I'm from Inti, and I'd like to ask you, these photos, they look so raw, they look so in the moment. And I'd like to ask if you do any kind of post-processing. Do you try to do any color grading to make it look nicer, to make it look sharper, or any kind? That's my question.
Okay, I get this question a lot, when they were asked about. I think again, go back to my objective of doing this thing, and then like I said, first thing when I take a photograph, even the shooting, I apply the same concept when it comes to post production. So when it comes to the actual shooting, time of shooting, basically my thinking is I don't want to cheat the meaning of the whole setting. So when it comes to post production, it's the same. So if necessary, I will do a minor post production. For example, if you say, for example, the image, uh, I know people will look for detail, for example, but happen if at that shot, the overall shot I'm happy already with the composition and everything. But when come to close, that detail not really achieve what I want. I want people to read, even up to the year, male, female, that kind of thing. If that thing not achieve what I think is important to achieve to convey the message, I will dig into my file. In fact, when shooting, I already put that in mind. If that part I need detail, I do a close-up shot. I will do a close shot, paste it in to make sure people can read. But I didn't change the meaning for me. I just want people to, just like you do painting, when you want to highlight certain thing, then that is very important. You highlight the thing. So I always put that in mind. So if talking about post production, whether I change any, but you can see my work basically is quite straightforward. I didn't do much like about color adjustment or those things. Basically, I try to make it as natural as possible, just as if like you just walk into people's house. Even the lens I choose like almost like our they call it normal eyes lens. Try not to be distortion. You can see, yeah, with a wide angle. No, I try to narrow down like you actually as you walk into people's house, they kind of very natural feeling. Like, I try to create that. Yeah. So yeah, is that answer your question?
All right, so thank you, Mr. Puah. But just to give you an additional context, I think Mr. Puah took these photographs using a large format camera, correct? Yeah. So the large format camera gives a higher dynamic range. So that's why you see the colors, the size, and the detail. The images are very, very detailed. Okay, and this is the reason why when he enlarged those photographs, the photographs maintain the detailedness of each of the images. Okay. So do we have any other questions from Inti students? I can see some of you are eager to ask but shy. Maybe the one behind Nicholas? Yeah. Yeah. Are there? Are there? So any students, my students, Ideal, do you have any questions you want to ask? Okay. I know you have questions. Okay, jangan malu. Can someone pass the mic to him?
Hi, my name is Hayden and I'm from Pioneer Students. I want to ask about your photography is about very meaningful stories. So I want to ask, have you ever find that one of your audience or your viewer of your art have shared their moments when they see your artwork, your photography?
Can you rephrase the question, sorry?
I want to know that is your viewer or audience share some of their memories, especially when they see your artwork, your photography?
Oh, a lot, a lot. In fact, I would say because the subject is so, I would say quite easy to relate to a lot of people. So I have many viewer, the audience who actually very emotional sharing with me a lot of time. Yeah, very emotional. In fact, when I was having it in back in my open studio in like I always do it like low. I make sure I'm around, and then we have like a quite a in-depth conversation. So it's kind of very variety type of responses, but different people have different take from the work. But of course, mostly we see from about sacrifices, and then okay, my intention is to make people realize about sacrifices of the previous generation to recognize that, and then some audience will look at it differently. For example, I remember one lady came to my show, then he said, "I hate your show because I'm I'm the victims of the whole thing. You talk about education, you are as if this is like everything about achievement. I never get any trophy in my life. Am I a loser?" So this thing will come to me, right, which is very interesting. So, but of course, I have to go back to my objective of my show. So I am talking about, I'm not talking about try to glorify children's achievement or how good the children are. It's more to make people see the sacrifices and contribution made by the previous generation. That's my whole objective. So, if you ask me, the responses like a lot. Some share the emotion about some will say a lot. Most of them will say wow, now I so regret. I actually my parents ask me when they move house whether I want or I ask them to throw away. Now I cannot find it. So I feel like I want to call my mom to check her whether still keep any. I will put some in my house. And then some will say, I now realize that, for example, one will share with me like saying, I studied he studied in UK. So the moment he graduated, and then the father want to come for a convocation. And then he said he was busy with master's further study. So he said, don't come first lah. When I get more settled down, then you come later. We go for, same time visit, and then we go for a tour, things like that. Then eventually after when he feel that more settled down and invite the father to come, the father don't want to come. We give him a lot of reasons lah. But after visited my show, then he said, oh, and I realized why he didn't want to come after that. Because for him, it's not about the tour. It's about he want to witness my graduation. He want to witness that moment. Can I get a point? No? So it's just a show, but trigger people a lot of thinking. So that if you ask me, then this is some the reaction that you will get, the feedback. If I have recalled, actually many. For example, some from different background will give you different reading as well. Some I remember one couple from I think from Middle East, from Middle East, artist friend. So he look at it and go, okay, uh, I look at your work, I can understand, I can sense your sacrifice that made your mother's generation. But if you look at my own country, I think you're lucky. Because at least your mother's generation managed to elevate whatever situation you are in one single generation. Like, for example, your mother doesn't have education, now at least all the children got education. So back then in my country, the thing is like maybe generation we are still stuck in the same situation. So the kind of thing will come up to discussion, which is very interesting for me. Even though it's just about family pride, but that different subject will come by. Yeah. Yeah. And if you ask me about the feedback, all those things. Yeah. But mostly very emotional some mostly will say I'll call my parents after this.
All right, thank you, Mr. Puah, for your interesting answer. Okay, and I would like to thank all the audiences who asked questions. Although this topic is very interesting, and I'm sure many of you will want to meet the artist in personal. Okay, I have a personal session with him. You want to ask him questions, and you are afraid to ask now. I understand that. Okay, so I think we have to. The time is drawing close, so we have to conclude our exhibition, our sharing session for today. Okay. So the gist that I can say from this presentation and from the exhibition is that photograph it traverses more than just as a form of image. It's a form of visual communication also. Okay, it doesn't just deliver mundane images. It transfers emotions and it brings people to recall memorable instances in their lives, to recall important peoples in their life, and to relive that moment again and again. Okay, so when the artist conducts the work, it's more onto the satisfaction of himself, the intent of himself, which is to communicate and to share his experiences with his friends and families, and to able to communicate with the viewers in terms of visual. So I think hopefully everyone is inspired and everyone is obviously encouraged to explore these types of projects in the near future. Okay, and I would like to thank you once again to Mr. Puah and Dr. Safrizal for this opportunity today. And also I would like to thank all of the audiences for joining us today and to participate in our sharing session. Okay. Uh, so I think that's all for today, and hopefully we can meet and talk after this. And for those who haven't viewed the exhibition, you can do so after this. Maybe you can also view the exhibition with the artist himself, and if you want to ask more questions, you can do so. Okay, so I think that's all for today. Thank you so much, and hopefully we can see you again in the next session. Thank you. Oh, okay. So everyone can.
Uzair dulu kot. So ada ni lah, we have some refreshment, ada food outside, so you guys can get packed food.